6 women in long floral dresses surrounded my crying teenage daughter, calling her unchristian and heartless. They said she was shaming her dead father by refusing to visit her grandparents. My hands were trembling, not out of fear, but pure rage. Because behind those women stood the person pulling their strings, my ex-mother-in-law. She had just crossed the line, and she had no idea how much she was about to lose. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, or watched someone weaponize religion to shame you, hit that like button. Because this story isn't just about revenge. It's about a mother protecting her daughters and finally showing a community what real hypocrisy looks like. I'm a 46-year-old mother of 2 girls, 17 and 15. When my ex-husband died last year, it wasn't just grief we had to face. It was chaos. Because along with his death came truths I wish my daughters never had to know. He had been cheating on me for years. And when the affair partner died in the same accident, we discovered he had 2 sons with her. 2 little boys who became orphans overnight. My daughters were the ones who uncovered the cheating. They were the ones who found the messages, the photos, and it shattered them. They blamed themselves, thinking if they hadn't told me, maybe their dad would still be alive. That guilt, it nearly broke them. But instead of supporting us, my ex's parents, both in their late 70s, turned on us. They tried to take custody of my daughters. They said I wasn't a fit Christian mother because I refused to let them move in with us or play family with the affair kids. We were already fighting in court. But that day at the weekend market, that was the moment everything changed. It was my youngest's birthday. She wanted to explore the market, buy sweets, and just feel normal again. I gave her some cash and let her go. An hour later, I got the call no mother wants. Her voice was trembling. Mom, these women, they're yelling at me. When I reached her, 6 older church ladies had cornered my crying daughter between the honey stand and the flower stall. They were calling her a selfish, unchristian girl. They said she was a bad sister for refusing to embrace her orphan brothers. My daughter could barely speak. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I stepped between them and my girl. My older daughter, bless her heart, grabbed her sister's hand and took her to the car while I faced the mob. One woman, one I recognized from my ex's parents' church, said, "Your husband's parents raised a good Christian man. You should honor them by obeying them." I smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Obey them, I said. They raised a man who cheated on his wife, lied to his children, and abandoned 2 families. That's not holiness. That's hypocrisy. The shouting got so loud that market security asked us all to leave. As I walked to my car, those women followed me, muttering prayers, hurling judgment. I locked the doors, and as I drove off, my youngest sobbed quietly in the back seat. That was the last straw. They went after my daughter. I was done being silent. That night, after tucking my girls into bed, I reached out to a friend from that same church, one of the few good people there. When I told him what happened, he sighed deeply. Then he sent me a screenshot. It was a post from my ex-mother-in-law in the church's private Facebook group. She had written a full-blown sob story about how her ungrateful, heartless daughter-in-law and granddaughters had abandoned her and left her homeless and penniless. She said my daughters refused to speak to her because I had turned them against their faith. And worst of all, she said the 2 little boys were our surrogate babies, born because I was barren. That I had rejected them because they were boys. Reading that, I actually laughed through tears. Because that wasn't just cruel, it was disgusting. She was rewriting my trauma to make herself look holy. But I knew one thing. Her church hated cheating. If they ever learned her son had an affair, the support she loved so much would vanish. And I had proof, all of it. The next morning, I woke up calm. That terrifying kind of calm that comes when you've already decided what must be done. I spent the day gathering everything. Every text, every photo, every email. Pictures of my ex and his affair partner in our home. Messages from his parents encouraging the affair. Screenshots of them calling my daughters bastards and blaming them for their father's death. Everything. Then I went to a print shop. And I paid extra to have it all printed in high-quality color, the kind you couldn't ignore even if you wanted to. At home, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and started assembling small binders. Each one looked like a church hymn book. On the front, a simple white cover with gold lettering. The truth shall set you free. The first page? A photo of my ex making out with his mistress on our couch. Below it, I wrote in neat black ink, "A love story blessed by lies." Then came the screenshots, the messages, and the proof, page after page of betrayal. When I was done, I had 15 hymn book lookalikes ready. And early Sunday morning, I drove to that church. There's a desk at the back where they keep spare hymn books for visitors. I quietly replaced a few with my own special editions. Then I walked out, sat in my car, and waited. When the service started, I could already imagine it. The whispers, the gasps, the frozen faces as people turned those first pages. And by the time the final hymn was sung, the gossip mill was in full swing. Within hours, screenshots of my binders were all over their Facebook group. People were furious. The comments were brutal. Some calling my ex a disgrace to faith, others demanding to know how his parents could condone his cheating. The pastor even had to intervene to calm things down. My ex-in-laws tried to defend themselves, claiming the photos were doctored. But they couldn't explain away their own texts, the ones where they insulted my daughters. By the end of the week, the entire church knew the truth. The same people who once called me unchristian were now whispering behind their backs. And the best part? Even the pastor wrote me a private message, saying he didn't condone revenge, but he understood why I did it. 2 apology letters arrived in the mail, addressed to my daughters, and an invitation for me to rejoin the church family for support. I laughed so hard I cried, because I didn't need their support anymore. My girls and I had already found peace, backhand index pointing left. As for my ex-mother-in-law, she was humiliated. Her Facebook profile turned into a pity party overnight. She wrote long, emotional posts about how cruel people had become and how she wished her good son were still alive to protect her. But people didn't buy it anymore. They saw the truth, not the holy grandmother she pretended to be, but a woman who used faith as a weapon. And the church that once worshipped her? They slowly pushed her out. No more Sunday smiles. No more fake prayers. Just silence. The woman who once tried to destroy my reputation had been shunned by her own community. And me? I didn't need to shout or argue anymore. The truth did the talking for me. You know, revenge doesn't always heal pain. But sometimes it restores balance. When people use faith to hurt others, when they twist love into control, they deserve to be unmasked. And for the first time in a long time, my daughters saw what it looks like to stand up for yourself, with strength and with truth. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button because no one should get away with weaponizing kindness or faith. Tell me in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where karma doesn't just knock, it kicks the door down.